North 44.
You've seen the shattered glass car prowlers leave in their wake.
We got the mail. That's the status at Division and Pacific.
Well, now Spokane police have put a face on the problem.
You're not free to go. You have a warrant for your arrest, okay?
You are really?
Yeah, did you miss court?
Zachary Hutzel tells officers he's not behind a rash of recent car break-ins.
How often are people funding their drug habit by breaking into cars? Is it very often?
I don't know.
However, once he's under arrest, police search his backpack and find Hutzel is hooked on meth.
Based upon my training experience, this is crystal methamphetamine.
Hutzel was also carrying around bolt cutters and brass knuckles that officers think he uses to smash out windows, not to mention 3 cans of spray paint. Police want to know where Zach got a hold of this game camera.
We found some prowling tools in his possession in his bag. And methamphetamine, so that screams to me that he's out there actively stealing from other people in order to get high every day.
And unfortunately, car prowlers can still find easy pickings in parking lots and driveways all over the city.
This is the first vehicle in this parking lot that I walked up to. Well, there's a cell phone right there on that white box. It's charging currently next to a pair of what look like nice sunglasses and earbuds.
Even when people stash all of their obviously valuable items out of sight, seemingly worthless bags can still invite a thief to break out your window.
There's a cinch sack and some sunglasses right there. Might be somebody's old sweaty workout clothes, but so many windows have been broken out for a bag like that.
And don't forget to lock your car because there's a lot of door jigglers out there.
They are just walking by, riding their bikes by, and they're trying each door handle on a car, hoping that it will be unlocked. If they're only successful 10% of the time, then that means 1 out of every 10 car handle they try is going to be unlocked and open, and they'll be able to get in and steal whatever you've left behind.
A blow dryer? Key fob, it's like a new one.
One I found on the ground.
You just found it on the ground.
Trash. I get all my stuff out the trash, man.
So remember, don't let your car be an easy target because there are a lot of thieves out there who are highly motivated by their habits.
Well, this is the grand opening of Cops North Central. About a year ago, the place we were at, the owner sold the building and we had to move, and so we found a great location here at Knox Presbyterian. And so we've been putting it all together for the past few months, and today is the ribbon cutting and the big celebration. Knox is it's their church. They had some extra space because it's a massive building. I approached their Board of Sessions, which is the ruling group, and said, hey, what do you think about us putting in a cop shop? They thought it was a great use of the space because we're so focused on the community as this church is. So in that sense, they're our landlords, but Knox is also being pretty good partners and very, very supportive of us in this. Right now, I think we've got about 12 or 15 volunteers, but we keep getting new ones every few days because it's a great location for us. It's very visible. Kelly Cruz, who is not only the chairman of the board, but also a volunteer at Cops West, he's been here for several months doing his carpentry skills, and so this is a great, great location, so the community is really making use of it.
When your day starts at the downtown police precinct,
Morning, police department.
you don't have to go very far to find your first assignment.
Go ahead, sit up. Who got here? You doing all right?
Micah Prim has been a cop for 10 years and knows how to get results through conversations instead of conflict.
We don't want to arrest you, but before you leave, if you come back here again, we may have to arrest you. So I'd like you to please use the services available. House of Charity is literally a block away.
And that's where Prim is heading this morning to look for this guy.
He's a known vehicle prowler and thief that kind of operates in downtown. So if we can kind of get him off the streets, then we can make downtown a little safer for everybody that works and lives down here.
The problem is Ryan P. Smith never seems to spend much time in jail, something that bugs this second-generation officer.
It's kind of frustrating because, you know, how many times do you arrest somebody and then they finally get held accountable? They even say to me, they go, "Oh, I'll be out in 2 minutes." Property crimes, catch and release just doesn't work. Or 44. Walking in the area of House of Charity. Doing all right? Doing okay? You need a new hat? You sure?
While Prim searches for Smith, someone else catches his attention.
Can you take your mask off while I'm talking to you? Yes. Oh, Dustin!
Turns out Dustin Earwood also has a warrant out for his arrest.
Hey, Officer Dustin, could you grab this backpack for me? We're going to go walk across the street where it's a little more safer.
A search of the North Carolina native's gear turns up multiple cell phones, knives, and a key fob.
It appears that he is prowling vehicles in order to support a methamphetamine habit.
Okay. Hey, City with a mail.
Earwood is booked on his outstanding trespassing warrant.
Right in there, buddy. Straight ahead.
Officer Prim hopes this time Earwood will keep his promise to appear before a judge in downtown's community court.
Hopefully, this will be kind of an eye-opener for him, that he can get connected to services and drug rehab or get on the housing list somehow through that process. But it takes him actually showing up. How you doing? Doing okay?
Prim's next stop is this Brown Street antique store where the owner is having problems with people camping on his property.
Is there any way that you could go over to the HOC right now? Okay, thank you, man. Appreciate it. You want to go inside and we'll start from the inside and see what we're dealing with.
Prim is here to give Chris Lowry some ideas about crime prevention through environmental design.
So my main thing was I was just trying to think of a way to protect that front area, but
Lowry's store has a covered front porch, a coveted spot for people looking to spend the night out of the rain.
and every morning there's syringes and needles out here.
Prim suggests additional lighting and metal no trespassing signs.
Here's my business card.
Night shift patrol officers will be stopping by to enforce them. Prim is also cracking down on people who run out in front of oncoming traffic and force drivers to slam on their brakes.
Pedestrians crossing the roadway in such a way that it cause a huge risk of collision. Or 44 out with the male in front of HOC. You've blocked the vehicle traffic there, sir. Okay, you're under arrest.
The misdemeanor charge is called pedestrian interference, a souped-up version of jaywalking.
I was concerned about your behavior in the roadway because I didn't want a car to hit you.
However, Ken Hand's pedestrian interference pales in comparison to what officers find in his pocket.
And it's a tourism positive for methamphetamine. All right, so he's under arrest for possession of methamphetamine.
For South units, a white male in his 20s, stocking cap on, thin build.
When Prim isn't hauling people to jail or chasing crooks, he's also active in our community.
Outside of work, I coach soccer. I really enjoy kind of teaching the skills and mentoring soccer players.
Officer Prim is married, has 2 kids, and his dad was also a Spokane police officer.
You know, I want to make downtown safe for everyone to enjoy, and that also includes my family. I want to keep the profession respectable and in a high regard.
Spokane has some very beautiful parks, and it's tempting to let your dog run off leash, but think really carefully before you do. Every year, thousands of dogs are hit by cars and die because they are let off their leash for just a moment. Even the most well-trained dog can be distracted or frightened by something and take off without warning. In addition, most dogs are uncomfortable with another animal running up to them, and your off-leash dog may be attacked without warning. Love your dog and keep them on a leash.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at SaveTheFood.com.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Every year, code enforcement, police, fire, health, and other government workers deal with a large number of problems stemming from foreclosed and abandoned homes. Problems such as crime, unkept yards, vandalism, trash, and dumping. And that's just to list a few. These government officials spend a lot of time struggling to find a responsible party to take action on these problems. They research mortgages on the property, call bank 1-800 numbers, and get passed around from bank to bank and from department to department. Meanwhile, citizens rightfully complain. Neighboring home values go down, and elected officials search for an answer. And unfortunately, nationwide mortgage foreclosure rates do not seem to be falling by much. In fact, in many states, foreclosures are on the rise. But there's a property registration solution that provides real relief. Introducing ProChamps, a community champions property registration solution. It's being used in over 130 communities nationwide. And here's how it works. First, your municipality passes an ordinance which requires that foreclosing banks must register the properties upon notice of default on a property and provide information including names and contact info of the bank, servicers, property contact, and others, as well as pay a small registration fee. Sound difficult? ProChamps provides everything needed for this registration system. We do the research to identify these properties, contact the banks, and provide an interactive website where your staff can report problems as they arise directly to the responsible parties. But we aren't done yet. ProChamps has a team of community specialists who have your back. When you have a problem or report a code violation on a registered property, they act as your ambassador to the banks and contact the responsible parties to help ensure the problems get fixed. This program does not change how you normally enforce codes in your community, nor does it create an additional work for staff. We simply add the ProChamps team to partner with and empower you to take care of these problem properties. How much does this service cost? Well, ProChamps shares in those bank registration fees, with the majority of the money going straight back into your community and helping to recover the costs you are already spending on dealing with these properties. This means the program provides revenue for your community with zero out-of-pocket costs. So what are you waiting for? Head to our website, give us a call, schedule a free foreclosure assessment or online demo, and join the 130 plus communities who have already experienced the benefits of partnering with community champions and leveraging our ProChamps solution. Go to ProChamps.com or call us at 1-800-321-CODE and get started today.
So you've probably seen the signs around town that suggest there are still a lot of people in the Spokane area who are experiencing homelessness.
And how many months have you been homeless?
Well, now the results of the Everybody Count census taken last January are in, and the survey puts our population at 1,245 sheltered and unsheltered individuals. That's a 14% increase over last year.
We're excited this year to have a much broader set of data to examine and a much broader group of individuals that we were able to actually survey in the count. So getting a more representative sample of people experiencing homelessness helps us craft better solutions.
This year, the survey cast a much wider net, counting the homeless in Spokane Valley and rural areas. Expanding the survey's boundaries beyond the city limits drove up the number of unsheltered people to 310, a 125% jump from last year. But the study also found there were decreases in other important areas.
This year we saw a lot of our subpopulation data improve. So we saw a decrease in the number of veterans experiencing homelessness, a decrease in the number of young people experiencing homelessness who are unaccompanied and alone on our streets. We also saw a decrease in the number of chronically homeless individuals. So 3 of the areas where we really concentrated services in 2017, we saw a decrease in those numbers on the streets.
What is your primary cause of being homeless right now? What happened?
The survey, taken at 173 locations, was more than just a head count. Participants were asked more than 30 questions about how they became homeless and what they feel are the barriers to their recovery.
And many people reported, not surprisingly, a lack of income and lack of affordable housing that are really the 2 biggest things that either caused or are preventing them from no longer being homeless.
Family rejection and conflict are the next most common reasons why people wind up on the street. 9% of the people said they were fleeing domestic violence. 1 out of every 4 folks surveyed acknowledged they had mental health problems.
If I had a magic wand, I would wave to have more affordable housing, not slumlord housing, regular housing that a person could feel safe and secure in.
The Everybody Count survey found we all want the same things in life: food, shelter, a way to take care of the things that we care about. Now, the new, more accurate snapshot of the challenges these people face, Spokane is better prepared to help them.
We have an incredibly committed group of nonprofits and elected officials who are trying to address this issue head on. So we're seeking opportunities to be innovative locally.
City officials hope you'll support the ongoing efforts by donating money to those nonprofits instead of individuals on the street.
I think the biggest challenge with donating cash to individuals is that that money does not go as far when it's given to one person as it does when it's given to an agency who can leverage that donation into a much broader set of resources for meaningful outcomes.
The results of the Everybody Count survey were tabulated months ahead of schedule because this year data was punched into a computer program. That means with the help of the number crunching software, Spokane can start looking at different ways to help reduce our homeless problems that much sooner.
How do we help people find good wage jobs, and how do we help people move into quality, affordable housing for themselves and their families? I want that for myself, and I would want that for anybody else in my community who's experiencing a hard time.
The nearly 100 volunteers who conducted this survey have done the Spokane area a big favor. The details they discovered in the field will now be used by local agencies to apply for additional grants and funding for outreach services. Because a lack of money can trigger homelessness, it's not surprising it'll take a lot of money to fix the problem.
Road construction is underway in the region, and we are asking drivers to pay attention and slow down. Motorists need to understand, 1, fines double in a work zone, and 2, those workers in those work zones, those moms, those dads, those brothers, those sisters, are counting on drivers to pay attention and go safely through that work zone. After a hard day's work, we all want to get home safe and sound. So please, pay attention and slow down.
We all know it takes a series of permits to build a new home, but do you have to check with the city before standing up a turbo treehouse? Lori Patrick with Spokane's Development Services Department knows the answers.
There's a lot of education when people come in to get a permit. We spend time with them to talk about where they can put their fence, what they can build it out of. We don't regulate what you build it out of.
However, there are height restrictions for fences, no more than 6 feet high for a fence in the backyard and a maximum 42 inches up front. That way your fence doesn't block your view of cars and pedestrians when you're backing out of the driveway. Putting up a new fence requires a building permit. Fixing an existing fence doesn't. But when it comes to which side of the new fence your neighbor has to look at, there are no rules.
People have that choice. When they're the ones paying for the fence, then they get to choose which way it faces.
A new storage shed doesn't need a permit unless it's larger than 200 square feet, but it is considered an accessory structure and has to go in the backyard. So do our kids' tree houses. But what about chicken coops?
If it is under that 200 square feet, you do not need to get a building permit for it. It does still need to be in the backyard.
If you're putting up a new deck in the front or backyard, if the porch is attached to your home, you're going to need a permit. So if spring flowers and our warming temperatures have you thinking about home improvements, call before you build.
Planning and Development, how may I direct your call?
With a little input from the city, you won't end up spending money on a project only to find out it's not permitted.
Making sure that it's built correctly in the right place and the right height so that you don't have to replace it and cut it down shorter.
For more information, call the City of Spokane's Development Services Center at 625-6300. While most of us think fighting fires involves ladders and hoses, Spokane's new assistant fire chief believes the best way to battle a blaze is to never let it get started.
So fire investigation is really kind of the mystery behind what we do, and really ties into how do we affect prevention? How do we warn our citizens? How do we educate our citizens about what's best for our community?
Serving the community is in Tricia Wolford's blood. Born and raised in the Chicago area, the chief hails from a family of firefighters and police officers.
I was a little girl who spent my Sundays after we had family dinner running around the firehouse. So when you grow up with that, nobody ever told me I couldn't, and I decided this looks really cool. I want to do that too.
Remarkably, in just a dozen years, Wolford has climbed the ranks in 3 departments, and as Spokane's new assistant chief, wants to facilitate the success of her firefighters.
These are the newer ones that are way better. If I were to look at how I would describe, in 1 or 2 sentences, my job and what I do, I would say to get people things so that they can do their job better and safer.
The chief is a self-described taskmaster, but gets some of her most innovative ideas from the fire crews in the field.
Still smells good. And so going around to the stations and saying, hey, what do you think of this? You think it's going to be a good idea? Do you think it's going to work for everybody? And then having the capability to tweak and alter. So I'm a doer. I like to be doing.
And that includes staying in shape so the chief can be right there in the middle of the action. Wolford was on the department's stair climb team when the group raced up the Columbia Center in Seattle to benefit charity. That's because when fires knock elevators out of service, you have to be really good at climbing stairs.
You can make the stairs maybe with your standpipe pack and your tools and your BA on. You're talking about the second part, which is very important. You make the stairs and you get up there in great time. Now you've got to get somebody out.
Wolford became a commissioned police officer in Maryland when she was an arson investigator. She says knowing how fires start and what allows them to grow can help save lives and property in the future.
I really respect what investigators do because they provide answers. And we all know that having that peace of mind is really extremely important, to be able to say, okay, that's what happened. We'll do better next time, and we'll go ahead and educate people on maybe ways to prevent that.
When is less really more? Less wasted water when washing your car means more water for the river and our fish. A commercial car wash saves water and chemical runoff. Go to slowtheflowspokane.com to find out more ways to use less water.
For the most part, residents in Spokane County are great recyclers, but there's still some questions about what can and cannot go in the big blue cart. And this time of year, when we're doing a lot of gardening, of course we've got flower pots. So the rule of thumb is if the container is plastic, if it has a number in the chasing triangles at the bottom, and if it is clean of all soil, then it can be recycled and go in your blue cart. Always check to see that it does have the symbol. So it is plastic, but if it doesn't have the chasing arrows with a number in it, it is garbage. So if you've got flower pots, you're wondering if they should be recycled, rule of thumb, if they're empty, free of all the soil, if they are plastic, and if they have the number and the chasing arrow on the bottom, they can go in the recycling system. Otherwise, something like this that doesn't have the numbers, it is garbage. So do make sure the container is clean, and we do want it free of soil or anything else that might be inside, because this does go to a recycling center where it's sorted to be made into something new. So we want it to be as clean as possible when it goes there. Other things that are gardening that might be plastic and recyclable could be an old water jug. Again, it's plastic, it's got the symbol on the bottom. So if you did want to recycle it, if it were full of holes, you couldn't use it again, that's something that could go into the recycle. You'll see that it does have an extra piece to it, and that could be considered a lid. And if you remember, we really don't want lids in our recycling system because they tend to fall off, they're very thin, and they get mixed in with the paper. And so try to keep lids out. Also, buckets. You know, 5-gallon buckets are recyclable too. Just check that they're numbered, that they're clean, and do take the metal handles off. Now, we know that there are good things to recycle, but there are also things that we need to leave out of recycling. So garden hoses. Hoses are something that should not go in the big blue cart. They do mess up the recycling system. They get wrapped around the sorting equipment and cause shutdowns and problems. So please leave any type of rope, wire, and garden hoses out of your blue recycle bin. So if your gardening tool is broken and you're wondering, do I recycle it, do I not? Rule of thumb is that we do take scrap metal, but maybe without the handle. So if there's a way that you can take the handle off, the metal piece would be able to go into the recycling, but the wood would not. Other things to think about keeping out of your recycle system, again, just rule of thumb, no styrofoam, even though it might have a number on it. We don't take styrofoam. Please keep plastic bags out, and make sure all containers are empty, clean, and without lids. So we're familiar now with the recycling of the pots and what to look for, but also just as important is, can they be reused? Maybe there's a second life to them for making starts next spring. So think about taking them back to the nursery where you got them, or if you know of someone with their own greenhouse, they might like these pots to get starts going next spring. For more information on what you can and cannot recycle, you can go to a website, SpokaneCountySolidWaste.org, or call the recycling hotline, 477-6800.
Thanks for watching Spokane Insight. If you'd like more information on the City of Spokane, please check us out on social media or on our website, SpokaneCity.org.